Hi friends! Welcome to another Circle Time at Home video. Let's start with our song. Good morning friends, good morning friends, good morning friends. I'm glad you're here today. Hooray! I'm glad you're here today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about apples. I have a book to read about apples, I have a craft for painting some apples, and we have a song about apples. So we'll start with our book. It's called How Do Apples Grow? And this is written by Betsy Maestro and illustrated by Maestro. It's kind of a long book, but it's good, and it tells us all about how apples grow all the way through the year. All right, when you bite into a juicy apple, you're eating part of a flower. Fruit comes from flowers. In winter, an apple tree is bare. It's hard to imagine it covered with flowers or fruit, but even in the cold and snow, tiny leaf buds and flower buds are waiting to open. Inside each leaf bud, curled up leaves are tiny curled up leaves. Inside each flower bud are all the parts of an apple flower. Apple flowers are pink and white and sweet to smell, and each flower is the beginning of an apple. When spring comes, there are more hours of sunlight. The days are longer and warmer. The leaf buds open. Tiny green leaves appear on each twig. When the apple tree is covered with leaves, the flower buds begin to open. Up close, you can see bunches of small pink and white flowers at the end of each twig. Each flower can become an apple, but the right things must happen first. An apple flower has many parts and each has a special job to do. Around the outside are the sepals. They form a little cup to protect the rest of the flower. As the flower blossoms, the sepals open. The pretty colored petals and sweet flowery smell bring many insects and birds to the apple tree. These animal helpers are needed for flowers to make fruit. Inside each flower are the different parts that make a new apple grow. At the top is some pollen. Pollen is a yellow powder. Each flower has thousands of pollen grains. Pollen also makes you sneeze. All right, so the pollen falls down into the bottom, and that helps the flower turn into an apple. An apple can grow when all those parts have come together. It sounds easy, but it's not. The apple flower can only grow from a different apple tree. And since apples can't move, they can't carry the pollen themselves. They have to have helpers. Bees are a good helper for apple trees. Bees fly from tree to tree collecting nectar, and they use the nectar to make honey. As they gather nectar, pollen grains stick to their bodies, and when they land on the flowers of other apple trees, some of the pollen falls off. So the pollen falls down in, and the petals fall to the ground. The petals are no longer needed. They have done their job. So all those pink petals are going to fall to the ground and leave the green leaves. The flower can now begin to grow into an apple. It will grow right at the spot where the flower meets the stem. See, it's getting nice and big and round. That makes the apple's core. There's the apple's core. And then the white fleshy part is what you can eat. Look at the bottom of a ripe apple. You can see bits of the dried sepal and flour. Open an apple and look carefully and you can see the seeds. You'll see 5 little compartments. There might be as many as 10 seeds inside your apple. Have you ever cut an apple that way so that it makes a star in the middle? It's a fun thing to do sometimes, and count the seeds. The apple tree must feed the growing apples. By using sunlight, water, and air, the leaves make a special kind of sugar, which feeds the fruit. It takes about 50 leaves to make the sugar for 1 apple. All summer long, the apples get bigger and bigger. When fall arrives, the apples are almost ripe. During the last few weeks, the apples can feed themselves. They make their own sugar. These are different kinds of apples. We've got Red Delicious, Macintosh, Golden Delicious, and Granny Smith. Sunlight helps the leaves in the apples make food. It also helps to change the skin color of some apples. Different kinds of apples have different skin color. And they taste a little different too. When the apples are ripe, it's time for picking. If no one picks the apples, they'll fall to the ground. Animals will eat some of them and may carry the apple seeds to other places. Some of these seeds will grow into new apple trees. Some of the apples may just rot on the ground. After a while, they'll become part of the soil. They will help feed the tree. As fall ends, the trees lose their leaves. New buds are already forming. They will be next year's apples. For now, the apple tree's work is over. For you, it's time for the best part. It's apple eating time. So since we read a book about apples, I thought we'd do a little craft with apples. And I did an apple marble painting. So here's my finished apple, and I'll show you what I did. I found a picture of an apple just in clip art, and I printed it out on a sheet of paper. And I cut it down a little bit. And then I took a tray and put some newsprint inside. I'm going to put my apple in my tray. I'll show it to you this way. And then I got 3 colors of paint, red, yellow, and green. And I got 3 marbles. I got a big one and I got 2 little ones. I'm going to put just a drop of paint on my paper, and I'm going to roll the marble around through the paint. So here, let's see if I can do it this way. Put a little bit of paint there. And now I'm going to take this marble, plop it in, and roll it around. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. It's rolling all over the place. La-la-la, la-la-la, back and forth. And I want to try and get, oops, it rolled off the paper, so I'm going to put it back in. I want to see if I can get it to roll through the paint. So sometimes you have to twist your tray back and forth a little bit. Okay, let's take that out and you can see what I've done with the red. So there's some red paint. Now I'm going to try a little bit of yellow. I'll put some yellow down here. Let's show you what I'm doing. Bloop, there it goes. And this time I'll use the big marble just for fun. And we'll drag the big marble through the red and yellow paint, and it'll mix a little bit. That's okay. Let's get some more of the yellow. Drag that paint all around my apple. Oops, it went underneath again. There we go. Okay, here's with the yellow. And now we'll add a bit of green. I'm going to put the green up top, up here. Ooh, that was a little more green than I expected. That's okay. Here goes my marble. Roll that around. It's kind of fun to roll the marbles, see where they go. And then the marble will drag the paint and paint a pretty apple. And when it's all done and dried, I'll let it dry for maybe about an hour. And when it's all dry, I can take my scissors and cut around the outside of the black line, and then I will have a marble painted apple. I can make a couple and hang them all together. I can just make one and put it on my refrigerator. Remind myself to eat an apple today. I love apples as a snack. So that's our fun little craft project to go with our apples. And I have an apple song. called Way Up High in the Apple Tree. 5 little apples were smiling at me. I shook the tree as hard as I could. Down came the apples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Were they good? Ready? Here we go. Way up high in the apple tree, 5 little apples were smiling at me. I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the apples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Were they good? Shall we sing it one more time? It's kind of a short song. Ready? Way up high in the apple tree, 5 little apples were smiling at me. I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the apples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Were they good? Well, friends, that's the end of our preschool at home video today. We read our apple book, we did our apple painting, we sang our apple song. Let's close with our goodbye song. Ready? Goodbye, 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 my friends, to you. God bless you everywhere you go, in all you say and do. I'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye.